Hey everyone, Barb Holtz here, and today I have a blending pad organization slash storage hack that I think you'll absolutely love. Like many of you, I have a bunch of these foam blending pads, but as you know, the Ranger blending tools that go with them are a little bit expensive, and I do not have enough space to store enough of these for each of my ink colors. So I wanted to find a less expensive and smaller space solution for keeping my pads straight because I've been mixing them up and not knowing which ones go with which types of ink, etc. So a couple of days ago, I asked my husband if he could get me a dowel rod that was the same diameter as my blending tool, and if he could cut them down to be about an inch thick. So my idea was basically to create a bunch of just this bottom portion of the blending tool. And his answer was, why don't you just put a sticker on the back of the felt to tell you what it is? We are moving in about a month, and I don't think he wants me to add anything at all space-wise to what we own right now. And I know that later on he would create these for me if I still wanted them. But I thought that the sticker idea was a great idea. And guess what? It works fabulously. So let's start, and I'll show you my process for how I do this. But all the credit for the idea goes to my husband. I bought this roll of labels off Amazon a few days ago, and it's got 1,000 half-inch white label dots, and it cost about $7. And these are super sticky. They are a little bit slick on the surface, and so I wondered if the inks would stick to them well or not. But they do. All of my brands work just fine, both my dye and my pigment. So today I'm going to show you this process with a pigment and a dye ink so you can see that it works fine. So I've started by ripping off 3 of the little tabs because that's how many labels I'm going to need for each color. And I'm just rubbing it onto my ink pad. I like to keep the stickers on the paper while I rub them. One, so that the adhesive doesn't wear off some of my skin, and 2, it helps me keep from getting the ink on my fingers and makes it a little bit cleaner. And it does have to dry for just a minute. So I did my purple first, and now I'm going to do my green. And you can see I've got them completely covered. And when I say it needs a minute to dry, literally just a few seconds. And I'm already able to take a tissue and I can rub this off of the label, and it will take off the excess wet that's stuck on top of the surface, but the rest of the color remains just fine. And if you see here, once I get it rubbed off, the distress inks take you a little bit more time to rub off. If you look at my finger, well, there's a little bit left. Just a second. Okay, so I'm going to rub this on. See, my finger, if you can tell, is still clean. And the same thing with the purple. I pushed on there pretty hard and nothing came off. Now the next step is I'm going to take an alcohol marker, and I couldn't find my black thin Sharpie, so I'm using a thicker marker than I would normally pick. And I'm going to write the type of ink on the label first. So for my Distress Oxides, I'm just going to write DO. And then this color is called Peeled Paint, so I'm also going to write PP underneath it. And I don't have to remember what the abbreviation stands for because I can match it to the label on the ink pad. But if I buy more than one shade of a color for the same brand, this extra key will help me be able to keep them separate. So now I'm going to stick the sticker. I'm going to put one on the actual ink pad because the shade on the sticker is just a hair different than the color shown on the pad. And I also put one on the back, but I didn't really need to do that with this brand because I store them, my oxides I store face up. But with my dye inks, I store them upside down. So I found it's helpful to have an extra dot on the back of the pad so I can quickly see what color it is. And then I'm going to put a dot on my foam. And this sticks really well. I've had no trouble with it. And you can see here, I'm going to stick and rip it off my fingers multiple times, and it still sticks. Like, even after that, this many times, I could go ahead and stick it on a pad and have no problem. So I really think these are going to hold up. And it does not affect how the pad works at all because it's just a very thin layer and it doesn't add any extra depth to it. And I have ripped these on and off multiple times and they have still stuck without any trouble. Now this organization tip is seriously one of the fastest things I've ever tried. I was able to do the rest of my distress oxides, minus the one I'm doing here, in about 5 minutes. I just lined them up in a row and inked, cleaned, stuck, and we were good to go. And I also just bought some finger daubers to use with my dye inks. And so I may not need to label these, we'll see after I'm using them, but I thought while I was at it, I would just go ahead and do it so that it was done. And then in the future, I'll decide if I do that for all of them or not. And it looks like I should have made 4 green stickers for my Distress Oxide, but oh well. So that is my foam storage hack. It's quick and simple. Each sticker costs less than a penny a piece, and it doesn't take up any extra space to store. So I hope you find this tip as helpful as I did. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you like this video and want to see more. Goodbye for now.